Hello and good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, the 14th of February, 2015. I'm Anna Koyman in a Fox News alert. ISIS dangerously close to U.S. troops in Iraq. Fighters attacking an Iraqi base where more than 300 of our Marines are stationed and taking over a town just miles away. The developing details in moments.
And as ISIS gains ground, the president's former intelligence chief sounds the alarm.
This enemy must be opposed. They must be killed. They must be destroyed, and the associated extremist form of the Islamic ideology must be defeated wherever it rears its ugly head.
Truth to power, and he didn't stop there. We'll give you his chilling warnings ahead.
Then it was the incredible act of kindness that swept the nation. A Target employee helping a teen tie his tie for the first time for his job interview. So was he hired? This morning we have a huge update. Fox and Friends begins right now.
Hi, this is Tony Blair. You're watching Fox and Friends.
Oh, you shouldn't have. Thank you.
Anna, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Tucker and I called Teleflora. They brought in all the flowers for the set.
Clayton and I and Tony Blair, who watches Fox and Friends.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, we want to get right to that Fox News alert we told you about. It's a big one. ISIS attacking an Iraqi air base staffed with more than 300 U.S. Marines. The Iraqi army beating back those fighters for now.
American Apache helicopters sent to the area near the air base. The Apaches returning safely back to the base without firing a shot, we're told. This is the Pentagon confirms. ISIS has taken over the town of al-Baghdadi, just 5 miles away.
Yeah, Fox News chief intelligence correspondent Catherine Herridge has more on this attack, including how ISIS tried to disguise themselves. Catherine?
Tucker, Anna, and Clayton, while military officials here in Washington are putting the best possible face on the incursion, this is the first time a limited number of ISIS fighters have penetrated the base perimeter, and we learned that they used stolen uniforms as a disguise.
Early indications are that, yes, some of them did detonate their vests, detonate themselves. And then they were followed by roughly something on the order of 15 or so other fighters. It does appear now that most, if not all of them, were wearing Iraqi uniforms.
A former intelligence officer who was stationed at Al-Assad in 2009 says the base is gigantic, about the size of Boulder, Colorado, and the terrain offers no natural defenses. And the idea that 320 Marines can hold the 13-mile perimeter 24/7 and at the same time train the Iraqi army is just not credible, especially if ISIS maintains a presence in the neighboring town of al-Baghdadi. The former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency testified Friday there may be an opportunity.
I would love to see an unleashing of some Iraqi force with the support of our U.S. Marines to go after and retake that little village, because that would be doable. And it would be something that the Iraqis could actually do with the support of our U.S. Marine forces that are in al-Assad.
Military analysts speculate the real objective may have been to breach the base perimeter and take an American service member hostage, a high-profile bargaining chip for ISIS now that the number of remaining Western hostages is so few. Tucker, Anna, and Clayton, back to you.
All right, thanks, Catherine. Unbelievable. And a couple of big questions hang in the air for me this morning, which how in the world could this happen? And also, what can we do about it now? Just think, just a few short years ago, we had the billions of dollars we poured into this country. We had helped try to rebuild this country from the ground up. And now, just a few miles from Baghdad.
Yeah, and a couple dozen of them, as Catherine was just mentioning, taking stolen uniforms of Iraqi soldiers and being quite bold. Thankfully, as they're detonating themselves, and we saw suicide bombers, reports of that. But just the idea of all of this happening right now when they were supposedly junior varsity not too long ago.
And at the heart of this, a small contingent of Marines, a little over 300, apparently surrounded thousands of ISIS fighters advancing on their position. The United States apparently sent in Apache helicopters to come to their aid. Pete Hegseth was on Fox yesterday and pointed out that we didn't do that by accident. That was a sign of concern. Watch this.
If we're launching Apache gunships, if we're launching close air support, it means we believe there's imminent threat to strategic assets or our personnel, which has got to sound alarm bells for a lot of people and remind us that we've got a fight on our hands. If we're putting pilots toward the ground engaging ISIS fighters, there's always a chance that unfortunately ISIS could be successful in attacking one of those. Now you got a down pilot. What do you do to get them? And you could have Mogadishu on speed with ISIS fighters converging on U.S. personnel if we don't have a plan.
Well, exactly. And you're listening to spokesmen for the administration say it's fine, everything's under control, we have all kinds of contingency plans. And of course, we do have all kinds of contingency plans. That doesn't make this a safe situation. You have thousands of truly crazy people right outside, in effect, the gates of this base.
Pete went on to say that our military is acting not with one hand behind their backs, but two hands behind their backs right now, and that these pinprick airstrikes are not enough. We need to hit them hard, and we need to hit them now.
And the president, though, all the time sitting back right now, basically saying that we're winning this war. You saw Secretary of State John Kerry last weekend. We showed that live right here on Fox and Friends at the time, said that we are winning this war, and we have the metrics to show that we're actually winning against ISIS, yet this close with Marines surrounded outside of Baghdad. We had retired Army Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. He talks about this, exactly the reality of what our military leaders must do because we are at war right now. Listen.
This enemy must be opposed, they must be killed, they must be destroyed, and the associated extremist form of the Islamic ideology must be defeated wherever it rears its ugly head. There are some who counsel patience, arguing violent Islamists are not an existential threat and therefore can simply be managed as criminals. I respectfully and strongly disagree.
So what do you notice about what General Flynn just said? By the way, he's the former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency,
right?
An agency that doesn't get a lot of publicity, but truly is one of the more impressive intel agencies we have. What word did he use that you never hear from his former supervisors, the Obama administration? Islamic. Exactly. He named the threat out loud, and for doing that, I think he becomes much more credible than a lot of the people we're listening to.
And on Fox News Sunday last week, he was on and said the same thing. He said, "Look, we've got to identify the threat. You can't treat the cancer if you don't identify and name the cancer and go after that."
And calling out the Obama administration for not being able to do that time and time again.
Are they even listening to people like General Flynn? That's the question. Does the president trust his own military advisors? And that's clearly something on the mind of retired Lieutenant General Flynn, because he raised that question in his testimony before Congress. Watch this.
When we give our military commanders a mission, we should allow them to execute that mission and not overly constrain them with approved authorities, but then having to come back to the administration for permission. Either we need to review those authorities and those permissions, or we need to change the commanders because we apparently don't trust them to do the job that we've given them to do.
Well, it's because the president knows best because he's had so much military experience.
But what is the mission? I think most Americans would be willing to accept a commitment of ground troops to Iraq, sending them back to Iraq, if they believed the administration had a clear vision of what they wanted for the country and the region. These guys are making it up as they go along. They have no idea where this country is going to be in 2 years. They don't seem to be acting out of a strategy at all.
When they got behind the surge reluctantly, and we managed to push the enemy back, we managed to do what we needed to do there, and we held ground.
Right.
But then when that all falls apart and then there's no structure there, you have the Iraqi military just dropping their guns and running away. You have no support from any of the allies in the region to try to come in and help Iraq when it needs it most. So right now you have no Iraqi military, you have no plan from the White House, and they're a few miles from Baghdad surrounding our Marines in a small outpost there. How do these guys get there?
Well, I would just correct one thing you said. Iran has been more than willing to pitch in.
That is true.
They're all over Iraq.
But just, I mean, look at that map. 5 miles apart right now. Our Marines sitting like sitting ducks inside this outpost. Unbelievable.
Yeah, say some prayers this morning. All right, we do have some other stories making headlines we want to tell you about now. And another Fox News alert, a planned Valentine's Day mall massacre stopped just in time. Overnight, police in Canada announced they got a tip that 2 people were planning to enter a mall in Halifax and shoot as many people as they could. A 19-year-old suspect killed himself as police surrounded his home. A woman from Illinois was arrested at an airport entering Canada. Police say the suspects were obsessed with mass murders. 2 others are also being questioned. A potential motive revealed in the murder of American sniper Chris Kyle and his friend Chad Littlefield. Former Deputy Gene Cole told jurors he overheard accused killer Eddie Ray Routh in jail saying, quote, "I shot them because they wouldn't talk to me. I was just riding in the back seat of the truck and nobody would talk to me." Later